they are neither here nor there, because they are things that we are supposed to do just to save our own economy. So we don't need IMF to come and tell us that. So that's the situation the Ghana Telecom found itself. It could not even pay salaries of employees. Yet IMF, MTN was making a lot of profit. So sorry, we were told to go and sell. So President Kufuor came and decided to sell Ghana Telecom. And definitely opposition party, by then NDC were in power, led by Honorable Helena Idrisu, protested and said that if Kufuor go ahead to sell and NDC win power, they will reverse the trend. So they even won the Vodafone group, but that was the politics side of it. It went to parliament and it was passed. The NPP used their majority at then, and the deal went through. The next day, Vodafone had taken over Ghana Telecom. And there was a big public announcement. Now, at that time, you can imagine the newspaper's headlines. The pro-NPP newspaper said, Vodafone takes over Ghana Telecom. And the pro-NDC newspaper said, Kufuor sells Ghana Telecom. But at the end of the day, Vodafone had taken over. And that is when the actual changes started. So Vodafone made first announcement that we have changed our focus. Under Ghana Telecom, the focus was on technology because they believe that telecommunication is about technology. So the focus was on technology. That was the time Ghana Telecom, like the ECG that didn't even have a customer service unit until recently. So whenever there's a problem, they will focus on solving the problem, not customer service issue. So the focus was on technology, and that also means that all the top hierarchy were people with technology background: electrical engineering, telecom engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and so on and so forth. So they recruited people who had technology background. Now Vodafone came in and said, we have changed our focus from technology to customer. Vodafone believed that telecommunication is about the numbers, getting more subscribers to subscribe to your service so that you can be profitable. So they changed their focus from technology to customer. They recognize the technology functions of the company. So they outsource the technology functions to third parties and then focus on customer recruitment. And that means that they also needed to change the top hierarchy. So they made the first announcement, we have changed our focus. So they invited all the top people, the MD, the deputies, the regional directors, and all that. They all met in Accra, and they told them, since we have changed our focus, we do no longer need your knowledge and expertise. We need to recruit people with business sense, people with customer knowledge. So they were all asked to go, and they brought in white people to replace them, people with business mind. So they brought all of them to occupy the top management positions. Now, the next announcement was that all the HR people should report to Accra. They met them and they were told that Vodafone worldwide is automated. So we don't need all the HR staff. So they were asked to go, leaving a skeletal HR unit in Accra. Then the next group that were invited, or the next announcement, was all finance guys should report to Accra. And they were told that Vodafone had outsourced its finance functions to a company in India. So you are not needed. So all finance people were asked to go, leaving a skeletal finance unit in Accra. So that brought anxiety, fear, and panic within the organization, because if all these top guys are going and you are A lower level manager, what is your fate? If you're a cleaner, what is your fate? Even the person who appointed you is gone. So it brought anxiety and panicking within the organization. But it didn't stop there. They realized that they had to change the culture of the company. We mentioned typical culture we find in state-owned enterprises. If these enterprises have to work and be profitable, we need to find a way of dealing with the culture. So the bureaucracy, the absenteeism, they pull him down, the corruption and the bribery, they were all there. And typical public sector organization, it was overstaffed. Vodafone came in with technology, so they didn't need all the people. They needed to lay them off. So they had to change the culture. So they brought in expatriate staff. And more importantly, when the white people came in, there was a communication barrier between the top management and the other members of the organization because of their accent. So they brought in expatriate staff, and these expatriate staff were typically Black people from Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, who had stayed in the UK for a while, and they had a British accent. So they were brought in to lead the cultural change. Then they also found out that they had to change the technology because Ghana Telecom was relying on the old technology, old equipment and machines. So they brought in new machines and they had to change all the old machines. And then they realized that the employees who were working with Ghana Telecom, when they brought these new machines, some of them could not use it, they couldn't even understand it. And they realized that the people's skills had become obsolete. So they started laying them off. So they formed a team called the Change Champions, put them in a hotel for about a month, train them how to use the certain software, and they use this software to measure people's performance. So at the end of the day, if they draw the line and you fall below the line, it means you are the next to go home. So they did that continuously until they were able to lay off all those people who were no longer needed because they had probably become obsolete or their skill sets were not needed by the new strategy. So all these people were laid off. So after all this, they realized that things were getting okay. They had laid off, and they also realized that they needed to employ new people from within Ghana. They employed them to support, and then also some of the existing staff who were kept, they had to train them. Those who were trainable, they trained them. Who were not trainable were laid off. So they had about 4 categories of employees within the organization. We had the top management, who were the highest paid, followed by the expatriate workers who were recruited to lead a cultural change. They were the second highest paid. And then also they had the local Ghanaians who were recruited. They were the third class of employees. And then they had what they call the legacy staff, the old staff that were retained. So after this, they realized that the company started making profit, but also realized that their cost was also high because of the salary structure of the expatriate staff and the top management. The expatriate staff, every year you need to pay them a return ticket to wherever you recruited them from, and you also pay them expatriate salaries. So that was expensive for the company. So after a while, they realized that they could recruit people from within Ghana to occupy the space, or they could promote some of the Ghanaians within the company to occupy the position of the expatriate staff. So they started sending the expatriate staff back home. But their appointment was actually based on contract. So when your contract expires, they don't renew it. you are asked to go back to wherever you came from. So your position is either filled through promotion or they recruit somebody within the country to occupy it. So they did that gradually until they were able to send all the expatriate staff back home. And now they train the Ghanaians and realized that the Ghanaians had potential to occupy top management positions. So they started promoting them and sending the white people who were in top management positions, they started sending them back home and promoting Ghanaians to occupy their positions. So they did that gradually until 2018. The company was taken over in 2008. So 2018 was 10 years. So by 2018, they had sent all the white people who were occupying the top management position back home. And it was left with only the CEO who was from South Africa. So in 2018, the CEO was also replaced by the current CEO, who is a female and a proud alumni of KNUST. She took over as the first local CEO of Vodafone, and she has been at that position till now. And now it is up to all of us to judge whether the decision to sell the company was the right decision or it was a bad decision, and whether it has made impact or not. Even though Vodafone is no longer in Ghana, it was taken over by Telecel 2 years ago. The Ghana government still has 30% shares in the company, and the company is making profits, so Ghana government is able to tax the profit and also get 30% of the profit. They are still keeping employees and the company is still in Ghana. So these are the changes that took place. So the question is, do you think that all this would have been possible, the changes that they introduced, do you think it would have been possible under the public sector? Do you think these changes would have been possible under public sector? Yes, please go ahead. Are you there? Yes, Cosmos.
Okay, Prof, they couldn't have been that change. Like Mr. Nyako said, the political system is one. And like I also said, our attitudinal is also a problem. So they couldn't have been that change. But Prof, I'm on a strong opinion that even with the government institutions within the country, they should privatize all of them, especially ECG. The way they are doing things over there, don't privatize ECG. One day, the company will collapse and Ghana will face serious doomsday of which we may not come back again as a country. It's a problem. There's a big problem at ECG.
Yasemo, any other opinion? Okay, so with this, let us go through the theories of managing a change. But before then, I want to show a short video. Just follow the video. We have discussion on the video. So
meet David. David's the CEO of a big company. David's company is growing fast, very fast. And to maintain a competitive edge in an era of hyper-competition, David plans to introduce a change in the way he's doing business. Any good leader knows that the only thing that's constant is change. Changes both within and outside the organization. Mergers, acquisitions, adopting new practices, upgrading technology. All of these are inevitable. David's decided to implement ERP to manage critical functions like sales, finance, and human resources. But how are these changes going to affect the average employee? Someone like Sam, for instance. Meet Sam. Sam's an accountant. He's great with numbers. What he's not so great at is handling unpredictability. He's worried about how he will manage with the ERP system. Will he be trained properly and on time? Will the new system be launched at one go? Will the timeline of these changes be communicated to him? Sam's too anxious to focus on work. He misses deadlines. His customers are unhappy. He's so apprehensive and stressed that he quits. Now imagine the same situation with every employee of the organization. Not just Sam from accounts, but Bobby from sales and Ann from HR too. That's a lot of uncertain people stressing out about the ERP with no clear communication, worrying about changes that could have been handled better. Morale drops, attrition increases, deadlines are missed, quality falls, customers are complaining, the company suffers. Now you know why David's nervous. But what if there was another way? What if you could pick up the phone and call the specialist in managing organization change? Leading industry experts with the experience and the know-how to help ease your organization through difficult periods of transition. That's where we come in. We specialize in organizational change management. We can help assess exactly how to deal with any change in your organization, identify potential change barriers, and create a change roadmap. A change management strategy. A strategy that will ensure everyone affected by these changes are sufficiently engaged and their buy-in ensured. We'll manage key stakeholders at each step of the change journey, focus on people capability through training sessions, and ensure people alignment with the organization design. And what are the benefits for you? Increased productivity, project cost controlled, and greater competence with better performance and happier customers. Now you, like David, can lead a company through ever-changing times. Change is constant, so let's change for the better, together.
Good. So what have you learned so far from the video? Why did the company introduce a change in the first place? Why was the change introduced from the video? Yes, Beatrice.
Yes, Prof. I think they introduced an ERP system probably for efficiency of work because maybe there were so much disintegration of their work when it comes to sales, HR. So they needed one system that would make their work more efficient. So that's how come the change needed to come into the organization.
Okay. Who else? Okay, just watch the first part of the video again.
Meet David. David's the CEO of a big company. David's company is growing fast, very fast. And to maintain a competitive edge in an era of hyper-competition, David plans to introduce a change in the way he's doing business.
Maybe did you get it? Beatrice?
Yes, Prof.
Yes. Yeah, so the change was introduced because Divine, is your hand up?
Prof, so I realized that to stay competitive, they introduced the change so that they have that competitive edge amongst the growing competition in the market.
Exactly. So you realize that the company was growing fast, very fast. But to maintain competition and the growth, they had to introduce the change. So change is introduced into the organization. It's not always because the company is performing badly. Sometimes you bring the change because the company is doing well. And to be able to manage the growth and to maintain your competitive edge, there is a need to introduce that change to help you to consolidate the gains you are making. So it is not always the case that changes are needed because the company is not performing well. Right. And why do you think that employees were stressed up? And some, to the extent that some were resigning and the company was performing badly. What happened? Yes, Edward.
Hello, Prof. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I captured the earlier part of the video, but getting to the end wasn't so clear. But what I can say is that the David introduced the ERP system with the mindset of speeding up or making things efficient in the company. But the employees weren't okay because there wasn't any stakeholder engagement. Ideally, the whole team is supposed to be sensitized about the change that is coming up, trained about the ERP and all that before they adopt it to influence the change that they want or to increase effectiveness as David may have intended. So, because David assumed that because he is okay with the ERP, and I mean, probably ERP works at some company that he knows, it will also help bring things in order in his company. Meanwhile, change happens around people. And if the people in his company weren't sensitized initially, then they would be stressed with the introduction of the ERP. Thank you.
All right, that's perfect. Eliano?
Okay, sir. To add on to what Eddie said, the biggest problem was the communication. So there was a lot of anxiety because the communication did not go down well. So most of them did not know. They knew that there was going to be change. They didn't know how, and that's what caused anxiety. If I can share a personal experience, I used to be in UT Bank, and there was a period where we went through change management, where a consultant was brought in, a consultant, Andrew Techi, came in, and everyone had to reapply for their jobs. And it was a massive exercise that was supposed to position us to take back the market. So from 2014 till 2015, everyone's role and everyone's placements changed. People from zero rank rose to the top, and all had to do with, we had to write exams, we had to go for interviews and all of that to start all over from ground zero. So you realize that what's helped us successfully go through the process was the amount of communication about the intention, that's the objective of the change, and also the process. Everything was communicated, that from this process, you move to the next process, and the timelines were stated. When the change would actually, give us results, the effects and all of it was outlined. So in as much as there was a little anxiety, because it was almost as if you've been a company for long and you are now come to apply anew and then start all over. You knew that this was the roadmap and this was why we had to do this. And we already had a culture of stewardship. So every staff was interested in contributing his or her quota, not out of fear, say that, okay, the company is suffering, so we are going to look elsewhere. Most people were ready and looked forward to the change, and we all partook. And then, we started putting things right before eventually things went the way it went and GCB took over UT Bank. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Aaron. That was very, very insightful.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Thank you. So, yeah, David. Okay, it's not, the hand is not up. Right. So, you realize that the ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning. It is a software that is used to manage key functions of the organization, such as HR, marketing, procurement, accounting, and all that. So, it was a good change, but when you are dealing with people, the people that you are working around, and you're introducing a change like this, and they are not communicated to, it becomes a problem. And that is what happened when the communication doesn't go down. People become anxious and they become worried whether they will be able to know how to use the new system coming, whether they will be able to understand, whether they'll be able to meet their targets, and people start panicking. And as you said, it all boils down to communication. If people are properly communicated, people are given the proper orientation to understand and to be given the training. When you are introducing such a system, you need to train people, build people capability and their alignment so that they know what is expected of them. Then they can support. But when that is not done, the communication is not done, then it brings anxiety, people become stressed, anxious, and labor turnover becomes the order of the day. In this case, it affects them, it affects customers, and sales will go down. So in every change management, communication is so important. And sometimes you may not have the expertise within the organization to manage the change. In this case, you need to fall on the services of change management consultants. They can come in, help you to identify people's capabilities, people's training needs. They provide the training, know the alignment within the organization to ensure that the change is managed successfully. Right. So, based on this, I think we can go through the slides quickly. Yes, Edward. Edward, your hand is up. All right. And then Cosmos.
Prof, this is just by the way. Per
Okay.
the video, were they Ghanaians? If they were Ghanaians, for Ghanaians and change, I think it will be a headache. No matter how you communicate,
Say it
it
again.
will be a headache. Ghanaians don't want change.
You said,
Well, I said for Ghanaians, if per the video, they are Ghanaians, it means there will be a big problem no matter how you communicate to them. But change in Ghana, it is not easy.
Okay.
There is no change, no matter how you come.
Are you sure? Okay,
Bro,
so
very sure.
these are the process of change. There is the need to determine the need for a change. So if you watch the video, it shows that the company was growing very fast, and to maintain the competitive edge, the change had to be introduced. So you need to determine why there is a need for a change. And normally you will be able to know whether there is a need for a change or not through the external and internal environmental analysis. Once you've done the analysis, then you'll be able to identify weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you'll be able to know that to be able to take advantage of these opportunities or to reduce my weaknesses, these are the changes that I need to introduce. So we need to determine the need for a change. And the second step is to determine the obstacles to change. For every change, there must be obstacles. The obstacles, or what we call barriers to change. You need to identify the barriers to the change. Please, just a minute. All right, sorry about that. So once you have determined the need for a change, you need to have the obstacles. I remember I led a change here in KNUST. During the COVID time, I was appointed to lead the university transition from classroom to online. And to do that was a lot of problems that I encountered. The obstacles came from the student body. They were not ready for online studies. They were not prepared to continue or to resume the academic year through online. Another obstacle came from lecturers. Some said they were stressed out and therefore they were not ready to teach because COVID was spreading and people were so anxious and people were panicking. People were afraid that they were even going to die. So why do we force us to go back to teach? And then we did not have the infrastructure, the technology to even do the online. So these were the three major obstacles that I encountered. And to be able to move forward, I had to find a way of dealing with all these obstacles to change, or what we call barriers to change. So I had to deal with all this before we were able to complete the academic year online. So you need to identify the obstacles. In a typical organization, the obstacles to change or barriers to change may sometimes come from lower level employees or middle level employees, or sometimes from your own management team. You may have opposition. Some people may oppose you for various reasons. Either they think that the change you want to introduce will not work. They don't believe in it. They will oppose to it. Or they think that you may not even have the resources to implement the change. They will oppose to it. Or they think that they think that they don't even understand what you are trying to do. If the communication is not clear and your employees don't understand the change you are trying to introduce, they will oppose it. So people oppose it for various reasons. Some people just want you to fail, so they can oppose it. So it's important you're able to identify all these barriers and know your communication strategies, how you'll be able to deal with these barriers before you can move on. Once you have identified the barriers or obstacles to change, then you move on to implementation of the change. So, and as I indicated earlier on, you can, the people who lead the change may come from within the organization if you have the expertise. But if you don't have the expertise within, then you need to get external consultants to lead the change. And final level is evaluating the change. So the last step in the change process is to evaluate the effect of the changes in strategy and structure on organizational performance. You need to check to see that the changes that you introduce are yielding the positive results for you to achieve the objectives of the organization. I'll leave the rest for you to read. Sorry about that. So you need to look at, let me go back. There are some levels of change we need to consider. I think I've jammed them. Yes, in every changes, you need to have these guiding principles. There must be a clear understanding of the need for a change. Quality of leadership when it comes to change management is very important. Commitment of sponsorship, clear vision of future strategy, education and training, effective communication, measurement system, infrastructure, reward system, skills of change agents. Communicate. See, we mentioned communication several times. In every change management, communication is so important. So you need to communicate well for people to have a clear understanding of what is expected of them. Continuous improvement is critical for survival. And you need to walk the talk. We need to walk the talk. As a manager, you don't tell your employees to do one thing and you'll be doing something opposite. So you need to walk the talk. Keep trying until you get it right. Celebrate success. When it becomes successful, don't boast that you did it because you initiated the change. No, you need to tell everybody that yes, together we have succeeded. I told you that together we can do it, and now we have done it. I dedicate this to hardworking employees of this organization. Organize some cocktail party, let everybody enjoy, and thank everybody for supporting that cause to achieve the results. Create ownership and involvement. And of course, you need to also hold people accountable. So, but let's move on to the last phase of this course, which is the strategy evaluation and control. To do this in the next 10 minutes. It is the phase of strategic management process where top management ensure that the strategy formulated is being implemented and that you are meeting the objectives of the organization. So that is evaluation and control process. Sometimes we encounter problem when it comes to evaluating people's performance. We are set targets in the organizations, and sometimes we are not able to meet the targets, and some management decisions have to be made on us for not meeting the target. Some people are transferred, some people are demoted, some people don't get their allowances or their commissions for failing to meet the target. How is evaluation done within your organization? Can we have three people to share with us how evaluations are done in your own organization? How are people's performance measured within your organization? Can we have about three people sharing with us?
Prof, please,
Yes,
are you
please.
referring to the like how our KPIs are being measured, like
Exactly.
appraisals?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
I can share with you for
Yes.
Omni Bank, we have a mid-year appraisal and then an
Okay.
end-of-year appraisal, with
Good.
which each role is assigned to a certain kind of KPIs. For instance, as a customer service, your KPIs concerns account opening, your checkbook requisitions, your engagement with customers, and all of that. So that is what you are measured on. So we do it mid-year and then we do it end of year.
Okay.
Thank you.
So how is it done?
It's done with your line manager. So, for instance, with branch operations, we are assessed by supervisors through the branch operations banking operations team. And then for the marketing team, is also done by their managers through their alignment. And managers are also done by their zonal managers. So it's like through your line managers. That's how it's done.
So how are the targets set? And if you are not able to achieve it, what happens?
So for the targets for marketing, you see, they normally have their targets to meet on monthly basis, on a yearly basis. So depending on what you have achieved versus what, and so that's what they use for promotions. I don't know if I'm getting your question right.
Yes, you are on track. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so that's what they use for promotions and for convincing board on salary increment and all of that. So that's basically what they use it for.
And if the target is not met, what happens?
For marketing,
Okay. Let's
from
let's
that one
get
day, I can't really. There's nothing
okay.
like, oh, this is what is. If you are not able to meet, you are going to sack you or anything. But like, you are definitely not getting promotions. We understand. If you don't meet your targets, if there are
Yes.
promotions being done, you are not going to be promoted.
Even
Yeah.
if it's not your fault.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Especially with the ones that concerns figures, which is for the
Yes.
marketing. You see, it's
Yes.
basically figures. It's not like the operations team where you are being measured on certain things that are supposed to be done that you can say is beyond your control. For marketing, it's figures, 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 and that's what they expect from you.
Okay. All right. So you know the reason why I'm asking this. For example, and it's common with many organizations. The marketing team is set the target. Yeah, they set the target. You need to sell this much, or you need to get this number of customers. Meanwhile, it is the HR unit that recruits the marketing personnel, right? And did they recruit the right type of people who can do the work? Did they recruit based on competence, or it was based on the board chair recommending or the CEO recommending and all that? They all go a long way to affect the performance and to affect the work of the marketing team. We will come back to that. But let's go to Margaret.
Yeah, hello, sir. So, at my organization, we use appraisal form where the KPI is indicated, KPAs are indicated, and then your performance, you how do you call it? Yes, performance are there. There's a column for that too. So that's what we use at my organization.
Okay. Right. Let's go to Maria. Maria. Hello, Maria. Right. Edward, Ima.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think ours also similar to what Nana just shared. So how our targets are set is that from the beginning of the year, we have a town hall meeting where the strategy of the business is shared to all colleagues, what we wanted to achieve within the year. And out of that, what each unit is supposed to achieve is given out. So every individual has a part to play in achieving this strategy. So as per your unit, it depends on the KPIs that will be assigned to you. However, after this is shared, you as an individual will set out your objectives together with your line manager. So when you set out your objectives, you also assign measurement of success. If you achieve ABC, means that you are outstanding. If you achieve within this, you meet target. If you achieve that, you exceed expectation. If you achieve that, you need improvement. So all these things are outlined for you to guide you to set up your own objectives. So when that is done, then the course of your work, you have the KPI, you should be appraising yourself and looking at what you have set out as an objective. But when the question is, when you're not able to achieve, what happens? So our place, when you're not able to achieve, you'll be questioned. When it continues, you'll be put on PIP, performance for improvement. So when you're put on PIP, the necessary resources that is needed for you is given to you. Your concerns are also taken into consideration. But if they see that the job alignment is not really aligned with your capabilities, and there's a need for it for the business to change your role, that is done. However, if you are still in that role and you're still not meeting your target consistently, that means that you'll be fired. And I've seen colleagues that has been exited from the business because of performance. So in the course of your work, as Nana said, half yearly, you have to do your appraisal. You have to do your performance development. Where have you gotten to? What you have achieved based on your objectives? What are the supports that you need to make sure that you achieve your target? If those supports are given to you, it's expected of you to meet your target. Again, their support team that when you find it difficult achieving your target, you don't wait till the year ends. You have to shout for all the necessary support that you are required or you needed is given. Until that is done, you have no excuse. So you yourself, in the course of your work, you know, especially when you're in the sales aspect, there are figures. You know that you have achieved this and that. So based on that, you yourself, you rate yourself before your line manager also rate you. At the end of the day, is that what do you call it? Your input is measured based on the strategy of the business and what you expected from you to do as a colleague. So that is how ours is done. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think that was very insightful. And I like the job alignment part. Sometimes somebody may be put in a certain position, the person can never improve or achieve the target because his or her capabilities are not in alignment with the roles you have assigned to the person. So it's important that you are able to analyze this and evaluate and be able to know where the person's capabilities can fit within the organization. And that is very, very critical. Okay, so we have, oh, okay, they are all gone. We had John hand was up earlier on. Or Mavis.
Yeah, Prof.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Thank you. I think what Ima was saying aligned with what we do. That's why I dropped off because
okay.
Largely in my industry, our main work is container loading and discharge. So their targets are set separately from our end, but we, the support staff, the legal and our finance and administration, first of all, the target is set between the employee and his line manager. So you meet your manager and then you set the KPIs together for the year at the beginning. Then so you align and you input them into the HRMS, the human resource system. We have a system for that. So the HR team will also see what you have put in there. And then thereafter, you start executing. So having agreed with your manager, the execution starts. Now, whilst you are working mid-year, you do mid-year review, where you sit with your manager again to review how far you've come with the targets that you've set. But I must add that this is not just the only time you meet your manager. Every week, there's what we call connect meetings with your manager. So every department every member of the department has a one-on-one with the manager on how you are faring on the work you are doing. So for me, like this, every day I have my to-do list, and I have my to-do list for the week and on daily basis. So every Monday I meet my manager, and then we align for the week, and then at the end of the week we meet and then we evaluate. So if you are going off the KPI, we don't wait for you to go veer off completely and come and say you have failed. Once you are going, we see that the way you are going, you are not going, we align. and then we readjust and we proceed. If there's any difficulty, all those things are ironed out as we proceed. So when it comes to mid-year, that's what we do the overall and realize that, okay, maybe in this area we are lagging, this area we are improving, or this area there's so much constraint. So let's move to this area a bit. Because as a legal officer in my department, I mean, we are accessible to everybody in the organization. But of course, we also have our core areas what we do. Now, at the end of the year, which is December, we usually do the evaluation in our system. We do the evaluation in January for the year, when the years start for the previous year. And that's when we look at what we've been able to achieve. Then it is scored. So that scoring has a baseline, an average score. Now, when you score, you score yourself first, you evaluate yourself, and then you send it to your manager. And then you and your manager will look at how you have scored yourself, and then we'll find out the manager will now score you in your presence. So it's not as if they'll do something behind you. Well, you'll know whether you are getting or not getting, and there'll be that interaction between you and the manager for you to understand why maybe you are not getting this right or didn't get this right. That will form the basis for your end of year annual increment. The manager will recommend for a certain percentage of increment of your salary. That will form the basis. Then, assuming without admitting that there are some shortfalls in your work, then the manager will now ask you, do you need training? Do you need improvement in this area? In the HR department, there's a training session. So we then recommend a training session for you to the HR manager. And then you'll be put on a particular training, like what Ima said, the personal improvement program. They are also there. So these are the systems. It is difficult for somebody to be dismissed because of non-performance, because unless it is just bad, together with some attitude somewhere. But if it's about doing the work, if you are not doing it right, you would have seen it from the beginning and not at the end of the year where probably things would have gone too bad. So that is it. And your question as to what happens if you're not performing, when you don't get the increments, you don't get it, then of course recommendations will be made for you to go for further training, and then you'll be put on the personal improvement program, and then we'll see how you are faring. And then sometimes it does come up that there's a change of role. So looking at how things are going, you can be moved. Of course, you cannot move a lawyer to operations, but in some departments, you can actually realign their roles, and then you see how things could go from there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, John. That was so insightful. I think it fits perfectly well with what we are going to go through now. With this background from you, we go through the evaluation and control process. So the first step is to identify areas to control. That is your KPIs. You have identified your KPIs, and once you have the KPIs, they become areas that you want to control. Then the next step is to set standards. Each KPI, you need to set standard or target that you want to achieve. Then the next level is to measure performance. Once you have measured performance, you compare performance against the standards that you set for yourself, standard or target that you set for yourself. If the standards are not met, then you must take corrective actions. And that is where the problem is. And that is what fits in all the experiences that you have shared with us. It's important that if the standard has not been met, you try to find out why the standard was not met. Was it because you did not set a realistic standard? If the realistic standard is not set, obviously, if it is high, too high, or too low, you are not going to achieve the target that you set for yourself. So you need to find out why the standard was not met. Is it because overambitious standard was set? Or is it because you did not involve the person in setting the target? Or is it because you did not explain exactly what the person is supposed to do? Or is it because you did not involve the person? Is it because you involved the person, but you did not try to match the person's capability against the skills that is required to achieve that target. If you set target for individual and the skill requirement, the person doesn't have it, there's a problem. So you need to check the skills requirement of the work and find out whether the person going to perform the task has those skills. If he doesn't have it, what are the training needs? And will you be able to organize the training for the person to get the skills to be able to achieve the set standard? Or is it because you did not provide resources for the person to execute the task assigned to him or her? You may have a correct standard. The person has the skills, but the resources are not there. The internet is not working. The air conditions are not working. The light goes off and on at any time. All go a long way to affect individuals' performance. Training, or is it because you did not even provide your supervisory role? Or is it because the person is not motivated well to do the work? It can even be social. The person may have some social problem in the house. It may affect his or her performance. So that's why some companies have welfare facilities within the organization. So you, as a manager, you must be interested in the social needs of your employees. That's why today we have work-life balance, working from home. All these are ways, strategies to make sure that people are comfortable to be able to deliver. Right? Or is it because of external environmental issues? The competitors' activities can affect achieving your standard. A competitor has come into the environment with cheaper products, better quality products, better customer service, better communications between the company and customers than you. It's going to affect the way you operate. Or it could be external factors beyond the country's borders. We talk about Ukraine, Russian war, and today we are talking about Israel and war and affecting the prices of fuel, which can also trickle down here. So these are all issues that you need to consider before you make decision on the individual employees. But if the standard have been met, then of course you need to recognize good performance through promotion, incentives, pay rise, and what have you. But sometimes even if standard have been met, it does not necessarily mean that the person is doing well. It could be that lower standard was set for the individual, and that must also be investigated. But if indeed standard have been achieved or exceeded, then you need to recognize good performance and of course adjust the standards upwards for the person to achieve. So these are the processes that we go through in evaluation of people, individuals, and group performance. Right, so that brings us to the end of our discussions. We still have a long way to go in the semester. So when we are approaching the exams, you have to do some revisions. We set a date with you. I'll communicate with the class reps. But we also have a midterm per the university requirement. We need to do a midterm. So the midterm will be MCQs. And again, I'll communicate with the class reps to get the appropriate date and time for you to do it online. It will be done online in your homes. So you don't need to go to the centers to do it. You do it online in your homes. So you have that option. It will be MCQ. So as soon as you finish, you will see your marks. But the main exams will be essays. I want to see your handwriting and I want to see your thought on the answer booklet. So that be communicated to you in due course. Apart from that, if you have any question, please feel free. But I have enjoyed your input. Thank you so much for the contributions.
Sir, I wanted to talk about something Cosmos said.
Yes, please go ahead.
He said that change is not going to be possible in the Ghanaian. He was referring to the video that if it's a foreign country, then it's possible, but it's not going to be possible in Ghana.
Okay.
I wanted to use my institution as an example, OmniBC. At the time Mr. Daniel Esiedu took over, there was a measure actually, because this is exactly what we are learning today, that for change to happen, there should be a measure. So there was a measure between Omnibank and then Sahel Sahara. So then it became OmniBC, and then Daniel Esiedu took over. There has been a lot of changes with respect to the way we do our business, with our timing for reporting and all of that. And then that has really turned things around. And I'm sure those who are banking with us can testify that OmniBC Bank has really changed over the years. And then these are things that he did. And then people are really, we the workers are really seeing the change positively, even on our personal lives and all of that. So it's possible in the Ghanaian setting. It's not that it can only happen in the foreign land, but it can happen in Ghana as well, depending on how you mentioned some factors that needs to be put in place for these changes to be effected. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do agree with you that it can happen in Ghana. And I've been following OmniBC actually. In fact, recently they donated 30 computers to the business school.
To KNUST, the business school. Yeah.
Yes, we are setting up a digital lab, and our target is to have 300 capacity computer lab, and OmniBC has donated 30 computers. So they are our partners, and I have been following your activities. You are doing very well.
Exactly.
And I've been following the changes putting in place. So I agree with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Nyako, yeah. Your hand has been up.
I think as
Yes.
Nana said, it can't always be true that change cannot happen in Ghana. It depends on the organization and what they do. I think the communication is very important. If you communicate well, people will comply.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and also
And I think we have EcoBank, the TT Bank, a merger. That was a big change, and they were able to manage it well. We had Tigo Airtel merger was managed well. We had a consolidated bank also managed well. And so there are a lot of changes happening in different organizations. And I mentioned the change that I personally led, moving from online classroom to online. It was a big strategic change for the university. But after everything, we now have one of the best e-learning center in Africa, and even one of the best in the world. Our e-learning center is very robust. We have a lot of resources, and that has led to us studying online. We finished this, and your materials are online already. It's all because of the change we went through during COVID that has brought us to this end. Otherwise, we will still be in the classroom doing the teaching. So a lot of companies in Ghana are going through different levels of changes. So it is possible.
Yes, Prof. To finish, let me also commend you. We have really enjoyed your lectures.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we have not seen your face. So if you could show your face, because if I meet my teacher, I should be able to recognize him. So with may I don't know, kindly ask you to turn on your video so that you will know our teacher.
Yeah, so you see the power of technology. I'm still lying on my bed, but I'm putting something on and let me see my face.
Okay, we are waiting, Prof. Margaret, I said Prof, not you, Margaret, please.
Oh, but it's good to see Margaret's face as well.
She's also on bed.
Margaret is also on bed.
Sorry.
All right. So I'm on now.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
better?
Yes. Thank you
So,
very
Yes,
much.
Prof,
sir, we can
on
see
this
you.
note, can the mid-sem be taken off so that we concern the main exam?
Some of us can't see you.
In fact, I wish I can do that, but the university policy is said that it is a requirement that you all have to meet. You get it. So I wish that we wouldn't do any MSM. We just and I like practical stuff. If you have time, after this, I organize a seminar for you on how to prepare strategic plan, and I bring in a resource person to take you through. Based on that, you are assigned to pick a live company to prepare strategic plan, and that will be assessed for the examination. But we don't have time and all that, so we have to go by the university's policy.
All right, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I've
All
really
right.
enjoyed your lecture.
Thank you. I've also enjoyed your contributions. Uh, our group is preparing a small party, so I'm going to shower and join them for
Hey,
the holiday.
All the best,
good.
Prof.
Thank you. All right. So we'll meet again, actually.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Yeah.
So Alpha, they say what?